So if our personalities really are like onions with loads and loads of different hidden layers, how do we know how we're perceived and how do we really understand ourselves? Today I'm going to talk about the identity iceberg and how we start to dig into those deeper layers. So we know that the personality has all sorts of different layers and depth, and that we see a certain amount on the outside, but there's a certain amount inside as well. The identity iceberg is a great way, a great model for being able to demonstrate this and talk about the external behaviours and then those internal aspects to your personality. So when we're talking about personality or comparing it with the iceberg, 90% of the iceberg is under the water, and there's just a 10% that shows above the water. Think about something like the Titanic. Which part of the iceberg actually sank the Titanic? It's that 90% under the water that you can't see. And that's where the mass is, and that's where the bulk of the iceberg is. So on that 10% on the top area, we're looking at those external behaviours. So we're talking about the actions that you take and the decisions that you make, and then those behaviours. And so those are the bits that get you the results outside on the external area. So then we're looking at the behaviours underneath the waterline, that 90% of the iceberg that's underneath the water level. And first off, we're going to start with your skills. So the skills are things that you are confident at, you feel competent at. These are things you probably enjoy as well. So for example, if you're the kind of person who loves to cook, then you're going to invite loads of people over at the weekend for a dinner party. But if you're not the kind of person who likes to cook, or you find that more challenging, then you're probably going to arrange to meet somebody at a restaurant. So your skills affect the behaviour above the water and the behaviours that people see. So your skills then in turn start to affect your beliefs. What you believe you're good at, for example. So let's take a child at primary school. At the age of 7, they're told that they're really good at maths. Suddenly they're really engaged and they're interested. They try that little bit harder. If they get a problem that they can't solve first off, they're not going to give up too quickly because they know they're good at maths, so they know that they can do this. Conversely, if you've got a child who's been told that they're not good at maths at the age of 7, which is crazy, your brain hasn't even finished forming at the age of 7, but children are told that, you're told that you're not good at something at the age of 7, suddenly they're disengaged. They're not going to try as hard, they're going to give up much quicker. And so the beliefs, what they've been told they're good at, what they believe, affects their skills. And that then in turn affects their behaviours. So that belief is really important. A belief is something that you hold to be true at this moment in time. So a belief obviously can change, and beliefs are very personal to each person. You'll know people who have beliefs that don't correlate with yours, whether that's religion or race or that type of thing. You've got people that you know that they've got beliefs that just don't correlate with yours at all. So beliefs can change, but it will take normally a situation or circumstance or something to change that belief. There'll be a reason for the change. But beneath the level of beliefs, we then go to values. Now, values are really deep into the core of ourselves, and we're not always aware of our values. This one can be a little bit more challenging or a little bit harder to pin down. So values are normally created in our early years, or quite often picked up from people around us in our earlier years. And they form the bedrock of everything that we're doing from there on. So poor values can affect the quality of our life as well. So let's say, for example, you're a salesperson and you want to be liked. That means that you're great at building relationships because you want to be liked, but it might mean that it's really hard to ask for the sale, because if somebody says no, then it means they don't like you. And so that means that you may have on your team working with you a salesperson who doesn't want to ask for that sale because it might mean a rejection, and that will upset one of their core values. We can also have contradictory values, and this is what going back to that point that we pick up values as we're growing up. They might not be ours, we might not be aware of them, but you could hold contradictory values. So you might have a value that when you're really successful and you've got financial security, then you will be safe and you will be secure. So that pushes you to work really hard. But then you might have a contradictory value here that says when you're rich and successful, people will try and take advantage of you. So suddenly you've got one part of you is pushing to be rich and successful, and there's another part of you that doesn't want to be rich and successful. When you get these two contradictory values, you start to self-sabotage. One part of you is working against the other, and you've got an internal fight. And you may find that you just can never quite get to where you want to be because of these contradictory values. What you need to do is start to ask yourself some really challenging, intriguing questions. How do I judge myself, and how do I judge people around me? How do I choose to value these people? What do I think is important? What do I like or aspire to in people? What don't I like or don't aspire to in people? Those kind of questions can start to uncover some of the values that you might hold. So another question you might ask yourself is, why do I consider this to be an achievement or success? Whether that is it finances, is it having a red Ferrari? What is it that you think means success? And ask yourself, why does that mean success to you? So start to ask yourself some questions. Take a little bit of time, do it in the car if you've got a long journey. Just start to ask yourself these questions and mull them over and see if you can dig through and find out what your values are. The quality of your values will impact the quality of your life. Then we're moving on to, underneath all of this, your identity. So two of the most powerful words in the world, I am. So this can be very simple. It can be, I am a mother. I am a business owner. It might be, I am successful, or it could be, I'm not good at this. Those I am words and the statement that follows it, very, very powerful. You need to make sure that when you're listening to your talk in your head, and make sure that your I am statements are positive. In fact, homework, thing you must really, really do, write down at least 20 really good, positive, strong I am statements. Read them out aloud every morning, every evening, every time you make a cup of tea, every time you had a cup of coffee, that type of thing. Make sure that you're reading those out and notice the difference it makes to how you feel about yourself. So listen also to those negative thoughts that you have in your head. So those I am, that identity is really, really powerful, and that underpins everything else that you're thinking, that you're feeling, your values, beliefs, skills, etc. To start to impact these deeper layers of the iceberg, then you need to think about your environment. So the environment for an iceberg. If I ask this question in a seminar, what happens if the water temperature changes? Everyone says the iceberg melts, because we all think about global warming. It's a bit of a shame. But think about your environment. Your environment are the people that you spend time with. Are they positive or are they negative? Do they want the same things as you? Are they business owners looking to succeed? Those type of people are going to have a very different mindset to people who are perhaps employed or not ambitious. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with positive people. Try and remove the negative people from your life, or limit the time you spend with them if you can't choose not to spend time with them. But be very conscious of the people that you spend your time with. And then it's the books that you read. Are you reading a really easy, trashy novel, or are you reading self-development books and business books? The books that you read will make a big difference to the way that you think, and that's the quickest way to develop yourself. What are you watching on television? How much time are you spending watching television? That's always a bit of a time drainer, actually, television. See if you can cut that down and just make sure that what you are watching is positive, not too negative. Those dramas and soap dramas, the word drama, it means something. It's generally designed to capture negative emotions because that's what our brains find addictive. So think about what you're watching on television. And then what news are you listening to or watching or reading? The news, again, the media is all designed to create hype and drama out of things. And we're not actually getting impartial news. So again, we're beginning to get this perception that everything outside of our little bubble is negative, is bad, and there are terrible things going on in the world. There are terrible things going on in the world, but there are brilliant things going on in the world. Make sure that you're getting a balanced viewpoint and you're not just taking the negative. Again, that negative aura in your environment is going to have a big impact on your mindset. So that's your environment, who you're spending time with, what books you're reading, what you're watching, how much time you're spending there, how much time you're working on you. And then going backwards to your I am statements, make sure you've got some really strong, positive I am statements. Look at your beliefs. They're only what you hold true at this moment in time. Think about them. See if you need to change any of them. See if you can find something that will change that belief. Is it in a different book? Talking to somebody very different to yourself. And then we start to look at your skills. Again, learning new skills, developing, improving, and then that's when we start to get those results at the top of the iceberg, the results that you've been looking for and that you really, really want. I hope you found that valuable. Be really interested to know what your thoughts are. Anything that you found that resonated with you, anything you found that was a little bit challenging, please do get in touch or put some notes in the comments below. Thank you.